Invite Agents and CEO Stephen Berridge. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thanks for having me.
Fun facts, we heard that you recently got married.
I did, to Becky in August.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Yep, so a couple of months in now, hopefully.
And also that you sailed across the Atlantic.
I did, for my sins, back in 2018 with Tall Ships. They're a youth charity. 18 days, I think. I recommend it for anybody, even if you're not a sailor.
So you didn't borrow a boat to do it though?
No, I didn't, but I will next time. I think they run the event every year. You pay perhaps slightly more than you should, but then that money goes towards taking other people out for the rest of the year. So it was a great event.
And a keen skier.
Very much so, yep.
Any plans for the winter?
So we've got hopefully 2 booked in for sort of February, March next year, a weekend and a week. One's work related, so but yeah, no, very much so.
Very nice.
Ready to pitch?
I think so.
Great, so you've got 10 minutes.
Excellent, thank you. So Invite Agents is a new online platform connecting homeowners and estate agents, allowing for personalised fee quotations. Unlike the majority of existing comparison-style websites that will typically display a long list of local agents in your area and their typical percentage fee, Invite Agents goes one step further and physically connects homeowners with local estate agents, allowing for personalised fee proposals. The agents can then log onto the portal, see the properties that have been put on by the local residents, and tailor their proposals for each property based on a range of issues. So, for example, the saleability of a property, there might be some in certain streets that they know are going to sell very quickly, therefore they'd like to tailor their fee accordingly. The condition of the property, and perhaps the feedback we've had, the motivation of the person selling the property is very key. The homeowner can then log back onto the portal and see the various fee proposals that have been submitted, and using our data tools compare them on a side-by-side basis, which currently is very difficult for them to do as they have to go out and sort of walk the streets to speak to the various agents. If the homeowner, having reviewed the various proposals submitted from the estate agent, is still unsure, Invite Agents is able to step in. If they have 2 preferred, for example, we'll go back to their 2 preferred, have discussions and ensure that they're putting their sort of best fee forward, ensuring maximum competition for the homeowner. From an agent perspective, the product sort of is very useful in the sense that currently, and especially in our area in Bristol, there's a lot of mass marketing that's going on, whereas with our portal, they're allowed to log in and see everyone within that particular radius who is currently trying to sell their property, allow them to really target and focus their media efforts and their marketing budget. In addition to that, because they're allowed to tailor their particular proposals for that particular property, their conversion and success rates we anticipate to be significantly higher. In terms of sort of the income model for the business, this is going to be a free service for homeowners, with the local member agents paying a transparent monthly subscription fee to access the platform, a sort of bronze, silver, gold approach with various additional features available for the higher end models. In terms of our market size, we're focusing initially on Bristol, but over the next few years we're looking to expand sort of UK wide, and that will give us a particularly large market of around 25,000 estate agents. And there's approximately 900,000 residential sales per year. So looking ahead, we've got a particularly large market to engage with when this takes off. In terms of traction to date, we've been engaging with SimpleWeb, a local Bristol-based venture tech practice who specialise in early stage startups. They've been involved with us since sort of February this year, helping us research the concept, speak to local agents and homeowners, and come up with a sort of a concept we think that's going to succeed. As I said, they get involved with early stage startups. 2 of their recent successes were Olio and W2 Global Data, who've just closed their Series A rounds. And we're pleased to say that SimpleWeb like our idea and were our first investors in the platform. They're also going to be our strategic tech partner going forward, will therefore be providing our CTO and all of our developer services going forward. Our plan is to release our initial MVP Q1 next year. As I say, we are going to focus on the Bristol market to start with, just to essentially give us more bang for our buck in terms of our marketing budget. So assuming that goes to plan, we'd essentially like to demonstrate the product, find market fit middle of next year, and then target a Series A raise in 12 to 14 months' time, assuming that we can find the suitable proof points next year. So in summary, we have quite, I think, an innovative platform. Whilst there are various compare the agent style websites that exist, some of the better ones have got some sort of large, big marketing campaigns going on TV. We go one step further. You know, this isn't a typical traditional fee. We're physically connecting sellers and agents, allowing for personalised fee quotations. We've got a particularly large market that we think we can engage with over the next 5 to 6 years, and with the help of Simple Web, we've got let's say the credentials, but an experienced tech team behind us to help us sort of achieve our goals. That's it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for pitching. Michael, any questions?
Yeah, no, that was really interesting. We've seen a number of businesses in this sector. It's one that does seem to be growing.
Very popular.
In terms of the market size and what you're I suppose what you're hoping to achieve in that market, how much of the market do you think you can take?
Yeah, okay. I mean, UK wide, and that is going to be obviously our goal long term. There's circa 25,000 UK agents and 900,000 annual residential sales. I think we'd be naive if we said we could get all of them. But I think our growth targets for our business model, we've based them on 9% of the UK agent market. So we're targeting about 2,000 agents by year 6. We're looking at about 40,000 annual sales by year 6 as well, so that's about 4%. So I think our targets are modest. We'd like to say we can beat them, but I think in terms of where we are now, obviously we need to see how we get on in the new year before we sort of refine those and take it down the line.
Sure. No, thank you. Some of the other players in the market, do you feel that you are better placed to take some of that market?
I think so. I think there are, a couple of key other players in our field, albeit we wouldn't class them as direct competitors. Without saying any names, there are.
Why is that?
Well, okay, Get Agent is obviously the biggest one for us. They've had a big sort of ad campaign recently, sort of a spy camera TV advert. I think whilst their product is good and it's useful, it is still it's generic. As a homeowner, I could put in my postcode. I have a 3-bedroom house, and they'll give me a list of local agents, and they'll say that typically these guys will charge you 1.5%, but that isn't personalised to me or my home. And actually, that's that the agents have put on when they registered on that platform. It's very generic. What we're trying to do is take that one step further and say that, okay, look, I'm the one with the product. It's my house. I'm the one with the asset. I'm not going to do the work. I'd like the estate agents to do the work. So we're kind of turning it a little bit on its head. As a homeowner, I can put it on the portal, and I'll invite agents to pitch against each other. I can do that from the comfort of my own sofa. It's on my terms, which I think that's the way it should be. Bear in mind, we're the one with the asset in the first place.
Okay, and so the estate agents would then come back to that homeowner and say, here's the offer that we'd be willing to give you, and as a homeowner you can accept or not accept that particular offer.
Absolutely. So let's say there's 10 agents that would like to pitch for the property. They all have the facility to log into the portal and submit their personal proposal in an efficient manner. So we are also catering for estate agents. We want to streamline the process and make it easier for them, but they could put in their fee, whether that's a lump sum or a percentage base, but they'll also have the ability to why me, why should I be selling your house, what's my value proposition over someone else. And I think we like that because it was hopefully going to give the smaller independent agencies that perhaps have a significantly better value proposition but don't necessarily have the mass marketing budget to kind of stand shoulder to shoulder with various agents. And I say from a homeowner, I can then browse through those 5 to 10 proposals side by side. I can sort them to whichever value is more important to me. Now that might be the lowest fee. Invariably it isn't nowadays. It might be the invite agent ranking score, which shows the performance that the companies have gone through for previous sales. And I think in terms of why I think we can do it better, I think we are a lean, agile startup. We're keen, we're hungry, and I think that if we can't bring something to market quickly, we're doing something wrong. I think that the team behind us are reasonably well experienced. So I think I'm quite confident for the year ahead.
Simple Web are great as well. We know them well. Yeah, we know them well. They're really strong.
Very good
behind
guys.
you.
Wise set of shoulders.
Indeed, yeah. So you talked a little bit about some proof points that you were aiming for over the next kind of 18, 24 months. What are some of those? What are you aiming to do?
I think the key, we have spent sort of the last 6 months talking to agents and talking to sellers, and I think the concept is sound. I think no one would argue that it doesn't make sense as a principle. I think what we need to find out is whether we can get that out and get that a mass appeal. This will work in a very small scale, but for it to long term, it needs to grow, and it needs to grow organically. So I think over the next 12 to 14 months, we'll be focusing on Bristol. There is an element of we need to have sort of the quantum of houses coming onto the platform at the same time as we're having agents sign up to the platform. So there's that sort of they're feeding each other, so to speak. So the biggie is getting both sets to come on board. The issue is about how much it's going to cost for us to acquire that, because that's obviously going to feed back into how much we're going to be charging the agents on a monthly basis. And we, for everybody involved, we're keen to keep costs down as much as we can, because whilst the homeowner is getting the benefit, we're under no illusion the estate agent is the one paying for the service. Therefore, they're arguably our customer. So we're kind of dual customers, really.
Sure.
And in terms of for the investors, do you have an exit strategy in mind? And how are you finding the market at the moment with the
challenging, I think. So we're based in Bristol, so I think no one would say that the market is flying. I think Bristol's quite nice that we're still trickling along. Certainly haven't dipped. I bought in Bristol 18 months ago, and it was a completely different market. We had sort of 10, 15 couples in an open house. That isn't there currently. So I think there's a lot of let's wait till March and see what happens. My prediction personally is not a lot's going to happen come March, and hopefully people get their confidence back, but only time's going to tell. I actually think this is quite a good time to launch a product like this, when there aren't 1,000 houses on the market. From an agent then, to try and use the platform, it could be quite a good tool for them to sort of secure work that they're perhaps struggling to get.
Well, I've fairly recently bought a house myself, and went in a fairly traditional way through a model, and it was a bit of a nightmare. So I'm all in favour of the digital estate agent model hugely.
I think people are changing. I think perhaps 5 years ago this would have been one step too far, but I think the population now are certainly well versed in comparison websites. They're certainly well versed in online hybrid agencies, and this is kind of taking the two. But I think a clear distinction is we aren't going anywhere beyond almost the introduction between the home seller and the estate agent. What we're not trying to do is then interfere with how the estate agent goes and sells the house or markets the house. I think that for us will be one step too far, and we don't want to tread on the agent's toes. We're purely just providing the opportunities.
Great. Well, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for pitching today and joining us on the show.